Emily first saw David on a breezy April afternoon in a little corner coffee shop she'd never visited before. She was a senior, killing time between classes while her thesis advisor sorted out some crisis in the faculty office. David ducked in for a quick lunch. He'd just started a higher-paying job and still didn't know his way around the neighborhood. He was about 10 years older, dressed in a sharp navy suit that quietly said, "I've got this." He paused by Emily's table, offered an easy smile and asked, "Mind if I join you? It's really crowded in here." Emily felt a warm spark of flattery. Guys like him rarely notice students still on a campus meal plan, so she pushed her laptop aside and said, "Sure, go ahead." They chatted about everything and nothing. Her half-finished novel, his new project management role, and the cinnamon-rich pastries in the display case. The conversation flowed so effortlessly that when David finally glanced at his watch, he realized he'd missed his entire lunch break. He asked for her number, and she scribbled it on his receipt in purple ink. By the end of the week, they'd spent more time on FaceTime than she had on her homework. 6 months later, they were sharing rent on a sunny one-bedroom apartment. 3 months after that, they stood before a county clerk, beaming in unison, and said, "I do." Overnight, Emily's life shifted from creaky dorm furniture to David's tastefully decorated condo. Soft leather chairs, framed road trip photographs, and a balcony overlooking the river that looked straight out of a Zillow dream. David assured her she didn't have to hurry into a job before she was ready. "Take your time," he said over takeout on their first unpacking night. "Finish your novel. I'll take care of us." Emily thanked him and finally exhaled, for the first time since freshman orientation. That pause turned into years, and David never once complained. David loved coming home to the scent of dinner and a wife softly humming an indie playlist, even if her half-finished manuscript sat untouched most afternoons. One Tuesday, over baked ziti, Emily mentioned that her best friend Faith was hosting a birthday dinner the next Friday at their old college hangout. Faith had been her closest friend since orientation. They'd endured dorm drama, awful professors, and worse boyfriends together. David nodded. He'd grown accustomed to Emily going out with her friends while he caught up with his own group at a sports bar. That evening, he arranged a poker night with his buddies. Friday arrived. Emily slipped into the emerald dress he adored, kissed David goodbye, and took an Uber to the restaurant. The group was already gathered. Confetti scattered on the table, 3 half-empty sangria glasses, and Faith sporting a glittery birthday queen tiara. Laughter echoed, toasts rang out, and appetizers disappeared in minutes. Midway through the evening, the door swung open. In walked Kevin and Alex, brothers who'd been campus heartthrobs during undergrad. Kevin, the playful one, and Alex, the considerate one, had shared marketing classes with Emily and Faith. The girls had spent entire semesters dreaming up excuses to sit nearer them. Faith's eyebrows shot up, and Emily felt her heart flip in a way she hoped nobody noticed. The brothers locked eyes with them, smiled as if they'd spotted hidden treasure, and strolled over. "Look who's here," they said with matching grins. Emily Brooks and Faith Turner in the flesh. Before long, they'd pushed 2 tables together, ordered another round, and slipped into the kind of nostalgic chatter that makes you forget graduation ever happened. Hours passed. At 11 p.m., the married couples and taken friends drifted away, leaving Emily, Faith, and the brothers surrounded by empty queso bowls and sticky cocktail napkins. Faith, who'd spent half the night practically telegraphing, "Notice me, Alex," leaned in and stage whispered, "After party at my place?" Alex lit up. Kevin raised his glass. Emily hesitated. "Married, remember," she reminded herself. But the warmth of the sangria dulled her restraint, and she mumbled, "Okay, just for a bit." They shared a rideshare. In the back seat, Kevin rested his hand on Emily's knee as though it belonged there, tracing small, idle circles. She told herself it was harmless. It felt strangely comforting to be noticed by the guy she used to doodle hearts around in psych class, and she let the feeling wash over her. Faith's apartment smelled of vanilla candles and fresh laundry. Music thumped softly, and vodka splashed over ice. They laughed through silly drinking games and shouted over nostalgic playlists. By 1 a.m., they were teetering between tipsy and reckless. Faith flopped beside Emily on the couch, her eyes sparkling. "Listen," she murmured. Alex had just pitched an idea, something fun. "Don't freak," Faith explained. Apparently, Alex wanted a three-way with her and Kevin. But when Faith remembered Emily's long-ago crush on Kevin, she thought maybe Emily would join in, turning it into a kind of double date. Emily stared. "Are you serious?" Faith laughed. "Come on. It's my birthday. Live a little." Across the room, Kevin watched Emily as if she were the only light left on earth. The vodka buzzed in Emily's veins, painting daring scenes in her mind. She thought of David, steady, predictable David, who preferred movie nights at home and would never suggest anything so wild. She swallowed the rest of her drink and found herself saying, "All right, let's try it." Smiles appeared everywhere, hands roamed, and clothes ended up in a jumble. An hour later, Emily stood under Faith's shower, scrubbing skin still tinged with half-drowned guilt. She slipped back into her emerald dress, called for another ride, and reached home before David. She slid under the comforter, slowed her breathing, and pretended she'd been asleep for hours. David arrived around 2 a.m., kissed her temple, and never noticed the cheap citrus cologne that wasn't his. 30 days passed as if nothing had happened. Then David announced that his friends were renting a lake house for the weekend, and insisted Emily join them. She'd only socialized with his crowd twice, finance guys and their spouses, all at least 10 years older, but she agreed on one condition. "Can Faith come too? I don't want to be stuck talking about interest rates and lawn care." David said, "Sure." Cabins booked. On Saturday evening at the lake, red Solo cups appeared everywhere. Someone suggested, "Never have I ever." You hold up 5 fingers, name something you've never done, and take a drink if you actually have. It was a harmless icebreaker until Faith, cheeks flushed, blurted, "Never have I ever had a threesome with 2 brothers." Emily laughed proudly and took a gulp of tequila. Gasps, whistles, and questions rippled through the group. David stared at Emily. Emily stared at the floor, her cheeks burning. Faith, loving the attention, spilled the details. "It was my birthday. Kevin and Alex from college. Remember them? It just sort of happened." David's eyes narrowed. His mind replayed last month's Friday. His poker night, Faith's birthday dinner, Emily strangely quiet when she got home. He said nothing, but a steel door closed behind his eyes. Later, when everyone drifted off to roastismaris, David cornered Faith on the deck, his voice low. "Hey, about that birthday story. Was Emily involved?" Faith, tipsy and talkative, confessed everything before recognizing her mistake. David walked to his car, dust swirling behind him, and drove away without looking back. Back in the city, he packed Emily's things into boxes before she even arrived home. She begged for forgiveness, offered explanations, and cried ugly tears, but his decision was final. The divorce papers appeared on the doormat almost immediately, and Emily found herself hauling suitcases into Faith's spare bedroom with nowhere else to go. She thought the worst was over, until gossip spread. Kevin and Alex, far from keeping things quiet, boasted to anyone who'd listen. Word bounced through alumni groups until strangers slid into Emily's DMs with lewd offers. Random numbers called at 2 a.m., whispering fantasies she never wanted to hear. Eventually, she and Faith changed their phone numbers, but the damage lingered like smoke in old curtains. Without David's income, Emily faced the job market alone. A fresh degree and no experience felt like an IOU nobody wanted. She settled for a cashier job at the local grocery store. 8-hour shifts on aching feet, customers snapping about coupons. One night, exhausted, she collapsed on Faith's futon and sobbed until her throat hurt. All she could think was how one single "why not" had cost her a loving husband, a safe home, and the easy future she'd taken for granted. She wished for time travel, an undo button, any way to rewind to that first sip of sangria and say, "Sorry guys, I'm heading home." But life only moves forward, and regret never pays rent.